Welcome back to the CryptoWorld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now there's a massive bearish signal flashing for Bitcoin on the daily time frame, while Ethereum is also still playing out this massive bearish divergence, which I'll talk more about in just a moment. But on top of that, there's also massive crypto news today because Binance is potentially buying FTX. They have just entered into a non-binding agreement intending to fully acquire FTX, and I'll be talking more about that entire story later in the video, so definitely stick around. First of all, just before continuing with this video, I'll just quickly let you know that I recorded and edited this entire video just before this news broke. And so you should notice later in this video, in just a moment when I get into the charts, that the charts, especially in the short term, do not include this massive candle wick to the upside. But other than that, for the most part, everything is still pretty accurate for the rest of this video. And remember, when you get to the end of this video, remember that Binance is now buying FTX, but technically this is not official yet because Binance still has to go through due diligence before officially completing the transaction. And technically, if Binance wants to, they can pull out of the deal if they find something that they don't like in FTX. But basically, this is the current situation at the moment. And with that being said, I'll continue on with the video that I recorded earlier. First of all, just before getting into the crypto charts today, just quickly letting you know that the new CPI inflation numbers for the US get released in just 2 days from now. And basically, these new CPI inflation numbers will tell us what inflation did during the month of October, which will be very important for markets because, as I've explained in more detail in previous videos here on the channel, if inflation remains high, then that basically means that central banks such as the Federal Reserve, for example, need to keep interest rates high, which is bearish for markets. But on the flip side, if inflation starts coming back down towards where central banks target, which is usually around 2 to 3%, then that would basically allow for central banks to actually lower interest rates again, which would be considered bullish for markets. And so depending on what the new CPI inflation numbers are when they get released in 2 days from now, that will likely have a significant impact on markets. And as for market expectations and what would specifically be considered bullish or bearish in terms of those numbers being released in 2 days, I'll go over all of that and more in tomorrow's video when we get a little bit closer to those numbers being released. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos coming up soon. But anyway, now getting into the Bitcoin part of this video, this right here is the daily Bitcoin chart. And over the last 1 day, we have finally started to see reversal signals on this daily time frame in terms of the price oscillators, because basically what we've seen over the last 1 to 2 months on this daily Bitcoin chart is technically both the price and the price oscillators were looking more bullish than bearish, because for example the RSI was in a fairly strong uptrend over the last 1 to 2 months, while the MACD was also trending to the upside, with the histogram within the MACD indicator sitting in the green more than the red over the last 1 to 2 months. But now what we're seeing is a potential break to the downside below this uptrend line of support in the daily Bitcoin RSI and a potential bearish cross in the daily Bitcoin MACD, which are both bearish confirmation signals telling us that the bearish momentum is back on the daily time frame. And now, if you noticed, I just said potentially because technically speaking, we still need to actually wait for this daily candle close to actually confirm these bearish signals, because these indicators are based on candle closes. And in case you're wondering, the next daily candle close is in roughly around 9 hours from now at the time of recording this video. And so if we see that happen, if we see this daily candle close anywhere near where it's sitting at right now as of recording this video, so basically under 20k, then that would confirm this break to the downside in the daily Bitcoin RSI and this bearish cross in the daily Bitcoin MACD, which once again, as I just said, would basically tell us that the bearish momentum is returning on the daily time frame. And in in case you're new to this channel, what I mean by bearish or bullish momentum on the daily time frame and bearish and bullish trends visible on the daily time frame are these sort of moves right here. So I'm talking about the moves that last for at least a few weeks, if not multiple months. And in terms of the size of these moves, we can see moves like 30% to the upside or 20% to the downside, for example. So obviously relatively large moves for the price of Bitcoin that play out over multiple weeks, if not multiple months. But with that being said, we still need to pay attention to important support and resistance levels here on the daily Bitcoin chart. First of all, the levels of resistance simply based on the local highs are sitting at around 25k, around 22,500 and around 21,500 as important resistance for Bitcoin on the daily time frame. And as for support, we still have this massive range of support that is dating back all the way since June this year. And this range of support is coming into play in between around 18,500 and 19,000. And now if you zoom into the shorter term, taking a look at the 4-hour Bitcoin to US dollar chart, already over the last few days, obviously we have already seen some bearish signals on this chart. First of all, as I mentioned around 4 days ago, the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI entered into overbought territories, telling us that the price of Bitcoin is getting too overheated in the immediate short term and that we're due to see a short-term cool-off. And so already at that stage, we had signs on the chart telling us that we have limited room to the upside in the immediate short term. But since then, we have begun to see more and more bearish signals start popping up here in the short term for the price of Bitcoin. For example, a couple of days ago, we saw a bearish cross in the 4-hour Bitcoin MACD. And just yesterday, as I mentioned in my last video, the price of Bitcoin confirmed a break back below this previous golden pocket, which was a significant short-term bearish confirmation signal, telling us that the price of Bitcoin is likely about to head lower. And now, just over the last 1 day, the price of Bitcoin has officially broken this previous short-term bullish trend, because technically speaking, for a while here, the price of Bitcoin was in a short-term bullish trend. But the moment the price of Bitcoin broke below 20,000, which was where these lows were sitting at, that was basically the point where the price of Bitcoin confirmed a break of that bullish trend and reversed into a bearish trend. And so once again, as of right now, technically speaking, the price of Bitcoin is currently in a short-term bearish trend and potentially about to begin a larger bearish trend on the daily time frame if these signals confirm once again. But technically in the short term, we're already in more of a bearish trend just in the short term. But with that being said, if you're looking at the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI, as of right now, this is actually sitting in oversold territories, which basically means at least in the imminent short term, we have somewhat limited room to the downside, and we could actually see a bit of a bounce here, or at least a bit of a consolidation before potentially heading further down later on. And so basically, due to this oversold signal, I would expect a bit of a pause in this short-term bearish trend. But once again, this doesn't necessarily mean the bearish trend is broken, because obviously if you're looking at the 4-hour Bitcoin MACD, as of right now, this is showing quite a lot of bearish momentum. And in fact, the last time we saw this much bearish momentum in the 4-hour Bitcoin MACD was all the way back here during around the middle of September. And we could see what happened then. We had quite a sharp drop in the price of Bitcoin, but that wasn't actually the bottom for that bearish move. It was more of a local bottom because the RSI was getting close to oversold territories. So we saw a bit of a consolidation, a bit of a pause in the short-term bearish trend before continuing lower later on. And so that's potentially the situation that we're in just in the short term as of right now for the price of Bitcoin. And as for short-term support and resistance levels to watch out for right now, if I redraw this Fibonacci retracement tool, considering the price is now reversed into a bearish trend, we need to redraw it to look at Fibonacci levels of support rather than resistance. And as of right now, at least at the time of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is currently finding a bit of short-term support around this golden pocket level of support, which is coming into play in between around 19.2k to 19.3k. And so in the immediate short term, that's the level of support that I'm currently watching. But if the price of Bitcoin confirms a break below around 19.2k, then the next levels of support to the downside that I'll be watching are sitting at around 18.8k and around 18.2k approximately. And as for some potential levels of resistance to watch out for in the short term for the price of Bitcoin, we could have some resistance right here sitting at around 19.7 to 19.8k. And if the price breaks back above that level, then the next resistance levels to the upside that I'll be watching are sitting at around 20,000, around 20.6 to 20.7k, and around 21,500. And now getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this right here is the daily Ethereum to US dollar chart, and right now the price of ETH is currently pulling back after this massive bearish divergence that has been visible on the daily time frame over the last few days, as I have been mentioning in these videos over the last few days. And now, unlike Bitcoin, at least at the time of recording this video, the daily Ethereum RSI hasn't yet broken below this uptrend line of support, but as of recording this video, it is currently testing this important line of support, which will be important to pay attention to moving forward. Because as I said earlier, if we begin to see a confirmed break below this uptrend line of support in the daily RSI, then that would be a fairly strong signal on the daily time frame, telling us that we could be due to see a reversal from this more bullish short-term trend into another bearish trend on the daily time frame. And in fact, we're already potentially seeing a bearish signal show up right now in these price oscillators, but instead of the RSI as of right now, we're seeing a potential bearish cross show up in the daily Ethereum MACD. But once again, this technically needs to be confirmed with a daily candle close. But simply based on this bearish divergence that I've been talking about over the last few days, and now potentially these other bearish signals getting a lot closer, this more bullish trend in the daily Ethereum price action is not looking too good. We are potentially about to see more of a bearish reversal on this time frame, especially if these bearish signals confirm in the daily Ethereum price oscillators. And now zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 4-hour Ethereum to US dollar chart, since my last video, the price of ETH has already confirmed a break below this golden pocket like Bitcoin on the 4-hour chart. And in fact, as of recording this video, it is also breaking below this other key level of support sitting at around 1480 approximately. But as of recording this video, we technically have not seen confirmation for this break because we still need to see at least a 4-hour candle close below 1480. But by the time you're watching this video, that might have already happened. And now, besides the price of ETH simply breaking below these short-term support levels, perhaps the more important thing to note here is the fact that right now we have already broken below this previous low. In fact, both of these previous lows, which is a strong signal for a trend reversal from this more short-term bullish trend into now more of a short-term bearish trend. And now, once again, as I've mentioned over the last few days, we've already seen quite a lot of warning signs in these short-term Ethereum price oscillators, specifically here on the 4-hour time frame. The RSI was trending to the downside, which is a bearish signal for the price. And on top of that, we were beginning to see more bearish momentum become more common in the 4-hour Ethereum MACD, which once again, I've been talking about that over the last few days. But right now, as I'm recording this video, the 4-hour Ethereum RSI is just entering into oversold territories, which is technically a signal just in the short term, telling us that we have somewhat limited room to the downside in the imminent short term, and telling us that we could be due to see a bit of a pause within this short-term bearish trend before we perhaps continue lower later on. Because if you're looking at the last short-term bearish trends that we saw here for the price of ETH, that happened during the second half of September. And basically throughout that bearish trend, we had a few times here where the 4-hour Ethereum RSI either entered or got close to entering oversold territories. And basically what that meant for the price of ETH is that we're due to see a bit of a short-term pause in the bearish trend, but that didn't necessarily mean we hit the bottom for the bearish trend. Once again, just a pause in the trends before perhaps continuing a little lower later on. And as for some potential support and resistance levels in the short term for the price of ETH, we would simply need to redraw this Fibonacci retracement tool from the swing low to the swing high. And as for some short-term support levels, we could have a bit of support around this 50% level, which is sitting at roughly around 1.4k. But anything below that level, then we have the golden pocket level of support sitting at around 1340 to 1350 approximately. But if the price of ETH starts breaking below around 1340, then the next support levels to the downside that I'll be watching are sitting at around 1270 to 1280 and around 1180 to 1190. And as for some potential short-term resistance levels, we could have some resistance at around 1470, around 1540, and around 1680 approximately. And now, other than these bearish technical signals on the chart right now, there's also another factor that could be placing a lot of bearish pressure on markets right now, and that is of course the entire FTX situation situation that is unfolding as we speak. And now I won't be going too much into detail about all of this in this video, but basically what is happening is Binance has already withdrawn a lot of money out of FTX equity, and basically Binance received that $2.1 billion worth of FTX equity in the form of BUSD and FTT. BUSD is of course the Binance exchange stablecoin, and FTT is the FTX exchange token. And basically, as CZ said here, which by the way is the CEO of Binance, if you don't already know, as he said here, due to recent revelations that have come to light, we have decided to liquidate any remaining FTT on our books. So basically, Binance is going to dump all of their FTT holdings, all of their FTX exchange token holdings. And this was a follow-up tweet to that. Basically, there was a whale alert showing that over $500 million worth of FTX exchange tokens was just moved from an unknown wallet to Binance. And CZ, the CEO of Binance, basically confirmed that yes, this is part of the FTT that Binance is about to dump on the markets. And then what happened after that was the CEO of Alameda Research, which by the way, in case you don't know what Alameda Research is, it's basically the sister company to FTX. So they are closely related. Technically, they are separate entities, but Sam Bankman-Fried, who owns and is also the CEO of FTX, also owns Alameda Research and was once the CEO, but since then has stepped down as the CEO of Alameda Research, and now obviously Caroline is the current CEO of Alameda Research. And basically what Caroline, the CEO of Alameda Research, said here is to CZ, which is the CEO of Binance, once again, if you're looking to minimize the market impact on your FTT sales, Alameda will happily buy it all from you today at $22 per FTT token. And obviously by saying that, that's Alameda Research's attempt at putting a floor on the price, a floor at $22, because once again, as the CEO of Alameda Research literally says here, they are willing to buy all of these FTT tokens from Binance at $22 per token. But since then, the sell pressure has been so massive for FTT that the price has dumped well below $22 per token. And so considering Alameda Research failed at putting a floor price at $22 per FTT, which by the way would likely have been an important level for Alameda Research to hold, considering they specifically chose that price level to try to buy all of Binance's FTT that Binance was holding. And this is a little concerning because Alameda Research are known to have roughly around $8 billion worth of liabilities, and their single largest asset is FTT, FTX's exchange token. And so if they have multiple billions of dollars worth of debt while their largest asset is FTT, which is currently dumping, then obviously it doesn't take a genius to figure out that is not too good for Alameda Research and potentially not too good for FTX. And between both Alameda Research and FTX, they hold a lot of crypto combined. We're talking about billions of dollars worth of crypto. And so if potentially Alameda Research is possibly in some sort of trouble with any of their loans due to the value of their largest asset plummeting like crazy, it's possible that they may have to sell some other crypto holdings in order to potentially cover some of their loans if they are in trouble. But it is important to mention that that part of the story, the selling of other crypto part, is just speculation, at least as of right now, because we don't know that for sure. But what we do know is that Alameda Research, the sister company of FTX, holds a lot of FTT tokens. They have quite a lot of debt as well, and the value of their FTT holdings is dumping like crazy right now, while CZ, the CEO of Binance, is dumping hundreds of millions of dollars worth of FTT right now. And now, if you want to stay up to date in real time on this story right here, make sure to follow me over on my Twitter for extra real-time updates just like this. And you can find a link to my Twitter in the description down below and also in the pinned comment. Definitely go and do that. But either way, whether the crypto market is bullish, bearish, or simply chopping around sideways, you can still make money in crypto if you know the right strategies. And if you want to know what those strategies are or how to do that, then check out these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left of your screen shows you how to make money if the price is either bullish or bearish, and the video in the bottom left of your screen shows you how to make money in crypto crypto if the price is chopping around sideways. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.